I moved in with my boyfriend Jamie yesterday. After 5 wonderful years together, we decided it was time to leave our parents' homes and build a life of our own. Jamie, who had just turned 24, and I, at 22, were eager to take this step. Despite the challenges of finding an affordable place in the city, we finally landed on a 2-bedroom flat that felt like a dream come true. The flat wasn't luxurious. It was in a slightly rough area, and the building wasn't new, but it had everything we needed: a balcony overlooking a park, spacious rooms, and even an open-ended tenancy with no deposit. The landlord promised no inspections, but made it clear that we'd be responsible for any damages. It seemed like a rare deal, almost too good to be true, so we grabbed it without hesitation. The moving day was chaotic, but exciting. With the help of some movers, we transported our belongings to flat 42 on the 7th floor. While the lift saved us countless trips up the stairs, some items had to be carried manually, and I wished we could have tipped the movers better. By evening, Jamie and I collapsed onto our secondhand sofa and watched TV before heading to bed. Too exhausted to assemble the bed frame, we slept on the mattress on the floor. I remember feeling safe and happy as I drifted off. The next morning, Jamie left early for work, and I began organizing the kitchen. That's when I discovered the note. Hidden among spare keys and smoke alarm batteries was a folded piece of paper addressed to the new occupier of flat 42. The handwriting was delicate and formal, and as I read it, I learned it was from Mrs. Prudence Hemmings, the flat's previous tenant of 35 years. Her letter began with a warm welcome, but quickly turned into an eerie list of warnings. She described strange rules for surviving in the building. Pay rent on time. The landlord won't bother you unless you're late, and you don't want to experience that. Avoid the lift between 1:11 and 3:33 a.m. It's dangerous, possibly life-threatening. Ignore animal noises from flat 48. Mr. Prentice lives there. He's kind but peculiar. Don't engage with the window cleaner on the balcony. No matter how polite he seems, ignore him. Dispose of food scraps immediately. Foragers are active and dangerous. Avoid neighbors claiming to live in flats 65 to 72. A fire destroyed those units in the 1980s, and no one survived. Keep a weapon in every room. Even if you follow all the rules, things can slip through the cracks. Be cautious with the building committee. Terry from flat 26 is great, but don't babysit her children. Stay away from stray hairless cats unless dealing with phantom neighbors. In such cases, bring them inside. Ignore the crimson damp patch in the bedroom ceiling. It's harmless, though unnerving. Trust the postman, Ian Flanders. He knows the building and can help. Be patient. The first few weeks are tough, but the flat can be a wonderful home if you follow the rules. Though skeptical, I couldn't dismiss everything in the letter. The damp patch above our bed, while not crimson, was real. I'd also seen a stray Sphinx cat in the hallway the day before. The coincidences unsettled me. Then, around 11:15 a.m., a man claiming to be a window cleaner knocked on the balcony door. He looked friendly enough, but Prudence's warning echoed in my mind. I avoided eye contact and ignored his requests for water, though he knocked persistently for 30 minutes. His gaze never left me, and I felt completely exposed in the curtainless room. By the time he left, I was rattled. I texted Jamie to come home immediately. The flat we had been so excited about was starting to feel more like a trap. Prudence's rules might have sounded absurd, but the uneasy reality of our new home was impossible to ignore. The moment the window cleaner left, I scoured every window in the flat, but he was gone without a trace. No equipment, no sign of where he'd been. Jamie still hadn't texted me back, and while I assumed his Friday shift at the fast food joint was hectic, something didn't feel right. By midday, he still wasn't home. When I finally called his boss, my heart sank. Jamie hadn't shown up for work at all. Panic set in as I pieced it together. Jamie's 4 a.m. shift meant he would have left the flat at 3:15 and taken the lift. Mrs. Hemmings's warnings from the note resurfaced in my mind. I couldn't let myself believe it, trying instead to convince myself it was all a cruel joke. But as hours passed and Jamie remained missing, fear overtook me. Desperation kept me up all night. By 3:34 a.m., the end of the danger window for the lift, I finally mustered the courage to investigate. The lift was old and eerie, its buttons clunky and worn. I combed every inch of it with my phone's flashlight, taking it up and down the building. Nothing. Jamie was gone, and the flat that once felt like home now felt suffocating. I sat at our dining table, shaking, crying, and reading comments online for advice. Eventually, I called my friend Georgia, who promised to come over in the morning. In the meantime, I prepared. arming every room as per Mrs. Hemmings's instructions. When the clock struck 8:54, I stood by the door to meet Ian, the postman. He arrived precisely on time, a wiry man with a heavy gold chain, jet black dyed hair, and a cocky demeanor. "Can I come in, dear? I think we need to chat," Ian said after I mentioned the note. His appearance wasn't what I'd imagined, but his experience seemed genuine. He lit a cigarette in my living room without asking, and I followed suit, desperate for answers. I explained Jamie's disappearance and pleaded for his help. Ian's face turned pale. "He's dead, love. Forget about him. No one survives the lift during those hours, except Prue, and that was once. She saw those creatures herself." His bluntness shattered me. "There must be something I can do," I cried. Ian hesitated. "There are rumors about bringing people back, but nothing proven. It's risky, and I don't want you getting killed too. Just follow the rules and let it go. I know it's harsh, but this place has its quirks. You can live a decent life here if you accept them." Despite his warnings, I pressed for more information. He recounted a horrifying event involving Prue's granddaughter, Lila. That poor girl had a sleepwalking issue. One night she wandered into the hall around 1:30 a.m. By the time Prue realized, she found Lila in the lift, surrounded by those creatures. They ripped her apart. Prue killed one, but it was too late. The creatures, Ian explained, were grotesque, rodent-like beings about the size of children, with sharp teeth and an insatiable hunger. They were most dangerous during the forbidden hours. "They're tied to this building," Ian said. "When they first appeared, there were hundreds. Residents fought back and wiped out most of them, but the remaining ones were the strongest. They've been here ever since." He emphasized the importance of food scraps. "If you leave food out, they'll come. During the day, they're curious, but mostly harmless. But during the dangerous hours, they're killers, always dispose of food immediately." I was horrified imagining Jamie's fate. As Ian stubbed out his cigarette, he looked at me with pity. "You seem like a decent young lady. Don't end up like him." The remaining creatures, though few, were dangerous and impossible to eradicate. The residents struck a chilling deal. The creatures could stay as long as they confined their frenzy to the lift between 1:11 and 3:33 a.m. Those who entered the lift during that time were fair game. Ian confirmed this grim truth, apologizing for Jamie but claiming there was no saving him. Scribbling his number, Ian warned, "Emergencies only," before leaving me alone with my spiraling thoughts. When Georgia arrived, I explained everything, from the note to Jamie's disappearance and Ian's warnings. Skeptical but supportive, she stayed with me, offering comfort as I broke down. Exhausted, I eventually napped, only to wake to voices in the living room. Georgia had invited a woman named Natalia over, who claimed to live in flat 71. Prue's warning about flat 65 to 72 rang in my ears. Natalia's eerie presence and smug smile unsettled me. Before I could act, Georgia began to sweat profusely. Her skin blistered and melted, and her hair fell in clumps as she screamed in agony. Natalia's cold stare pinned me in place, and the room filled with a suffocating heat. Desperate, I grabbed a knife and plunged it into Natalia's throat. Her black, viscous blood revealed she wasn't human. Even as she fell, she began to recover, so I dragged her to the hallway and bolted the door. A hairless cat appeared, hissing at her. Remembering Prue's advice, I brought the cat inside despite its burning touch. Through the peephole, I watched Natalia cauterize her wound and vanish into the lift. Georgia, severely burned but alive, needed help. I left her anonymously in the park with no ID or phone, fearing police involvement would jeopardize my slim chance of saving Jamie. Heartbroken but resolute, I decided to find Prudence Hemmings. Hours of research yielded little. Prue's granddaughter Lila had vanished under her care, and her family had disowned her. Lila's disappearance, blamed on a supposed morning park outing, eerily aligned with Ian's account of the creatures in the lift. Prue's husband, Bernie, had died in a fall from the building after a dementia diagnosis. An obituary listed Prue's sister, Bridget Bishop, as a contact. Using a reverse directory, I found an address. Haunted by the horrors in the flat, I barely slept. Every glance at Prue's note reminded me this was all too real. Tomorrow, I would visit Bridget and Tony Bishop, hoping they could lead me to Prudence Hemmings. She was the only one who might hold the answers I needed to save Jamie, or find closure if he was truly gone. Exhausted but determined, I fell asleep at 4 a.m., only to wake by 7 a.m., planning my visit to Prudence Hemmings' sister. A social media post revealed that Georgia had been identified and was stable in the hospital. real. While guilt still lingered, the news brought some relief. At 8:50 a.m., I waited for Ian at the door, but instead, an elderly man with kind eyes and a walking stick passed by. He greeted me warmly, carrying a newspaper and milk. His demeanor reminded me of my grandfather, but when he stopped at flat 48, Mr. Prentice's home, I recalled Prudence's warning and quickly retreated into my flat. Not long after, the window cleaner returned, knocking persistently. His gaze was as unnerving as before, but anger overtook fear. I resisted the urge to confront him, grabbed my bag, and left. Avoiding the lift, I took the stairs. Their eerie quirkiness revealed itself as I descended. 7, 6, 5, and then 5 again. Confused and unnerved, I pushed forward, determined to visit Prudence. As I exited, a woman with 2 children entered. She introduced herself as Terry from flat 26 and invited me to join the building's residence committee. Her kids, Eddie and Ellie, were unnervingly identical despite their differing genders. Something felt off about them, but I didn't linger. The bus ride to Prudence's sister's house felt eternal. When I finally arrived at the modest bungalow, an elderly woman ushered me in, offering tea. After a tense silence, she introduced herself as Prudence Hemmings. She revealed she had debated leaving the note, but believed I deserved a head start. My emotions spilled out as I explained Jamie's fate and my desperation for answers. Her response confirmed my worst fear. Jamie was gone, and there was no bringing him back. Not in the way I hoped. There's a way to retrieve people from the lift, Prudence admitted reluctantly, but they don't come back the same. I learned the hard way. It's better to let them go. Her refusal to elaborate left me devastated, but her warning was clear. Pursuing that path would lead to something worse than death. I shifted the conversation to other mysteries. Terry's children, for instance, seemed sweet and normal. Prudence corrected me sharply. Those little demons are far from normal. They were born in the building, the first children ever. It's like the building's quirks rubbed off on them. They never sleep, not a wink. Poor Terry hasn't rested in years, and they torment animals. The cats hate them. At that moment, a hairless cat appeared, brushing against Prudence's legs. To my shock, its touch left scorch marks, but Prudence didn't flinch. She smiled and stroked its head as if nothing were wrong. My arms, still marked by the cat I'd picked up the night before, throbbed in memory. But when I glanced down, the burns were gone, as if they'd never existed. They've always been my friends, Prudence said, lighting a cigarette. This is Damon. He's been through a lot. Her burns healed before my eyes, leaving no evidence of the cat's touch. I pressed her for answers about the cat's origin. Prudence only chuckled. They've always been here, like the building itself. They're part of this place's strange magic. You'll learn to appreciate them. Though I had many questions, Prudence's hardened demeanor warned me not to push further. For now, I was left with more pieces of the puzzle, and the weight of Jamie's loss heavier than ever. No one knows where the hairless cats came from, Prudence admitted. They appeared after the fire, rumored to be the pets of the burned residents, but I don't believe that. I think they are the residents, hissing at the imposters who roam the building. She paused, her fingers twisting painfully as she stroked Damon. When I mentioned Natalia nearly killing Georgia, Prudence's face hardened. I warned you in the note. If I'd explained it all, you'd have laughed and ignored the rules. You're lucky to have survived this long. Prudence revealed more about the imposters, including a chilling story. Before the fire, CCTV captured 15 people entering the flats. 30 minutes later, the fire began. The evidence burned, but I think those 15 are the imposters now. They hate the cats, and they're dangerous. I hope your friend survives, but I've seen what they do. Death might have been kinder. I changed the subject, asking about her husband, Bernie. Prudence hesitated, then relented. Bernie had dementia. He forgot the rules and invited the window cleaner in multiple times. I chased him out with a metal pipe. But that wasn't what killed Bernie. Her voice cracked. One day, he left a bowl of food out for Damon while I was out shopping. When I came back, I found one of those creatures eating him. Its teeth made an awful sound, like Lila's bones breaking. I chased it off and pushed Bernie's body off the balcony to hide the truth. Prudence sobbed, and I hesitated before asking, "Have you ever thought about bringing Lila back?" Her face darkened. "Of course, but not like you think. That's why I'm telling you not to. Don't make the same mistake." Ignoring her warning, I insisted, "Surely anything is better than gone forever." With a pained expression, Prudence led me to a shed in her garden. The smell of decay hit me as she locked the door behind us. In the corner, a grotesque creature stared at me from a reinforced cage. Its rodent-like face, beady human eyes, eyes and sharp rows of teeth matched Ian's description, but this one had wavy ginger hair. Prudence gestured to it. "Cat, meet my granddaughter, Lila." Horror overwhelmed me. "How could you do this?" "I didn't want this," Prudence snapped. "When she died, my son and his wife blamed me. Bernie never said it, but I saw it in his eyes. I thought she'd be safe. We'd made deals with the creatures, and I thought I knew the building's rules. I was wrong," Lila hissed, revealing her jagged teeth, and I shuddered. "How did you bring her back?" Prudence looked defeated. "The gardener helped me." "Who's the gardener?" I demanded, dreading the answer. "Derek," she said. "He tended the communal gardens before the council built the neighboring tower block. He was one of the first people I met after moving in. When the window cleaner first came, I almost let him in, but Derek stopped me. He warned me about the building's dangers." She described Derek as a mysterious figure who seemed to know more than anyone about the building's dark secrets. He intervened multiple times to save Prudence, including during her attempts to revive Lila. Despite his warnings, Prudence worked with him to bring her granddaughter back, leading to the abomination locked in her shed. As Prudence finished her story, I stared at Lila, no longer human, but still filled with sadness. "This isn't life," I whispered. "It's a curse." Prudence didn't argue. "That's why I warned you, Cat. Jamie's gone. Don't make the same mistake." Prudence continued her tale, recounting the day she nearly opened the door for the window cleaner. Derek, the gardener, stopped her just in time, revealing the monster's true form, impossibly thin, gray-skinned, with black, cavernous eyes and drooling jaws. As soon as Derek let go of her hands, the monster vanished, replaced by the smug, friendly man she'd almost invited in. "Derek was different," she said. "He helped us strike the deal with the creatures, protecting the cats, and even saved Bernie once from an imposter. But when they planned to build the new tower block and destroy his garden, he changed. Bitterness consumed him. When Lila died, Prudence lashed out at Derek, blaming him for not stopping the creatures. In her grief, she stomped on his freshly planted flower bed. Derek snapped, offering her a dangerous solution: to perform a ritual in the lift during the creature's frenzy, offering food and repeating the phrase, "Reverter mortuus." Desperate, Prudence agreed. The ritual worked. Days later, Lila returned, but not as herself. She was a creature, attacking Damon before Prudence recognized her granddaughter in the monster's eyes. Derek vanished along with the garden, leaving Prudence to care for Lila alone. "I couldn't kill her," Prudence confessed. "She's my granddaughter. I'm not a monster." Shaken, I left Prudence's bungalow, grieving for Jamie finally settling in. By the time I returned to the flat, I was emotionally drained. I sobbed myself to sleep on the mattress, waking later to a hollow, aching loneliness. Seeking comfort, I knocked on Terry's door. Terry, disheveled and reeking of wine, welcomed me kindly despite her exhaustion. She made me coffee and invited me to sit. We bonded over shared interests, and for a brief moment, the normalcy eased my pain. The sounds of her children crashing about in the bedroom startled me, but Terry brushed it off. When Eddie and Ellie eventually appeared, something was off. Their puppy dog eyes had turned into voids, black and endless, and their nails had grown into sharp claws. Clutching Terry, they wailed about a mistake. "We're sorry, Mommy. We didn't mean to let them in," Ellie sobbed. "Who's them?" Terry demanded, her face pale with fear. Before the children could answer, the living room doorway filled with figures. 10 average-looking people with blank expressions. Among them, glaring at me, was Natalia. The memories of Georgia's agonizing screams and burning flesh flooded my mind. Fear gripped me as the crowd advanced, silent and menacing. These were the imposters Prudence had warned about, and I knew all too well what they were capable of. The group of figures in Terry's living room was larger than I'd realized, at least 15, just as Prudence had described. Natalia, smirking, led them, her gaze full of malice. "The kids said we could borrow some sugar," she said mockingly, then turned to me. "How's your friend doing?" I was enjoying her company. Fury replaced fear. "Don't speak about her. You won't hurt this family either," I shouted, stepping between Natalia and Terry's trembling children, Eddie and Ellie. Natalia chuckled darkly, unfazed. "You're the freaks," she sneered. "Your lives are pointless. That's why we set the fire all those years ago." She launched into a twisted story about her cult leader, Michael, and their violent philosophy. The group lived in the flats until tensions with Michael's brother Jonathan escalated. Michael decided to eradicate the entire floor of non-believers in a fiery massacre. Natalia's voice dripped with glee as she described their victims' screams. As Natalia spoke, flames erupted on Terry's curtains. A man from the group grinned, enjoying the chaos. For the first time, my nerves wavered. I realized we were only alive because they allowed it. Natalia continued, recounting how the building trapped them in the stairwell after the fire, dooming them to burn with their victims. "We didn't disappear," she said. "We're stuck here, waiting for Michael's return." She revealed a newspaper article detailing Bernie Hemming's role in Michael's imprisonment. Enraged, the cult began tormenting the building's residents until Prudence discovered how to kill them. Natalia admitted they'd reached a stalemate, but with Prudence gone, they saw me as fair game. Her voice grew angrier, her group restless, moving like a hive mind. As the group advanced, a slender girl approached Terry and her children. Suddenly, Ellie transformed, her claws extended grotesquely, and her black voids deepened. With terrifying speed, she leaped at the girl, slashing her face and clinging to her. Eddie joined, scattering the group with bursts of flames. Chaos erupted as the cultists fled. Natalia, retreating, locked eyes with me. "This isn't over," she screamed. That night, I stayed with Terry, helping clean up the damage. The children, returning to their mischievous selves, seemed unaware of the magnitude of their actions. Exhausted, I barely slept, plagued by Natalia's final words. The next morning, I returned to my flat, wary of any encounters. To my surprise, the stairs behaved. At my door, I found Ian delivering the post. "I need your help," I begged. Inside, I recounted the previous night's events, pleading for a way to stop Natalia and the cult. Ian listened, his face grim. "Keep your doors locked and don't let them in," he said. "That's all you can do." Ian's refusal to help and evasive responses made me question everything. Could I even trust Prudence, who conveniently left out key details? Her rules had helped, but they felt incomplete, like I was part of some twisted game. Determined to find answers, I decided to attend the residents' committee meeting and rally support to fight Natalia and the cultists. The meeting was at noon in Flat 31. Hosted by Molly Thompson. A poster on the notice board promised tea and cakes, a tempting prospect after days of stress and hunger. I spent the morning reflecting on everything: Jamie's death, George's suffering, Prudence's omissions, and my terrifying neighbors. My thoughts spiraled as I reread Prudence's note, questioning her motives and the true nature of the building. By 11:55, I headed to the meeting. The corridor was busier than ever, with residents avoiding Mr. Prentice's strange noises as if they didn't exist. Taking the stairs again, I avoided the lift where Jamie had died. Molly's flat was a relic of the 70s, filled with china cats and homemade Battenberg cake. The room buzzed with community spirit as neighbors packed in, some standing when chairs ran out. Terry arrived with Eddie and Ellie, who greeted me warmly. Their innocent brown eyes had returned, a stark contrast to their terrifying transformation the night before. "I'm glad you came," Terry said, smiling nervously. "We don't bite, really." "I need help, Terry," I whispered. "We can't keep living in fear. We need to stop these people." Terry sighed, clearly exhausted. "The kids know not to let them in again, but they think they're indestructible now. They've been saying they'll kill the bad guys." Her resignation was palpable, but my resolve hardened. "Not everyone in the building is as special as your kids," I pressed. "What if another family burns because their kids make a mistake?" Terry nodded solemnly. "You're right. Bring it up in any other business." "Molly's strict, but she'll let you speak." Molly began the meeting with a shrill command for silence. She welcomed everyone and noted my presence, asking me to introduce myself. Nervous but determined, I stood. "Hi, I'm Kat. I live in Flat 42. My boyfriend Jamie was killed in the lift by the rat creatures. The burned flat neighbors won't leave me alone, and Natalia wants me dead. Oh, and the window cleaner makes me want to scoop my eyes out with a spoon. Nice to meet you all." The room gasped. Mortified, I sat down, tears spilling as the reality of everything overwhelmed me. Terry comforted me, but I felt I'd ruined my chance to rally support. Molly addressed the room professionally, offering cold condolences. "Life in this building can be overwhelming. We asked the previous occupant to let us intervene when you moved in, but she refused. We may need to review our policies. I'm sorry for your loss." The meeting continued, the agenda reflecting the building's strangeness. Issues included flickering lights that made pets and elderly residents vicious, a motionless man on floor 5, and Mr. Prentice's noises. It was clear the entire building was plagued by the bizarre. Despite my embarrassment, the meeting revealed a shared understanding of the building's quirks. I wasn't alone in my struggle, but the professional distance of the committee made it clear that any action would be up to me. I needed to find a way to stop Natalia and her group before more lives were lost. Alone or not, I wasn't giving up. Molly's schoolteacher demeanor grated on me, especially when she assumed my name was Catherine. As the meeting continued, personalities emerged. Precious Street Fleur, a fiery, middle-aged Caribbean woman, became my favorite. She challenged Molly over the flickering lights on floor 11, even lifting her shirt to reveal a deep bite mark from her dog and a smaller one from her elderly mother, both caused during an episode of The Lights. Molly remained unmoved. When any other business arrived, I stood, hands shaking. I want help getting rid of the imposters from the burned-out flats. Living in fear isn't good enough. Molly dismissed me, claiming the issue had been discussed and removed from the agenda. Prudence is the only one who dealt with them, and she never revealed her methods. You're new here. Don't suggest a suicide mission. Her condescension infuriated me. Terry's kids answered the door last night. What if it happens again and they don't survive? My friend is still in the hospital because of them. My words stirred murmurs of agreement. Precious stood. I'm willing, she declared boldly. Soon, 5 others joined her. Terry, Shanti, a somber woman from my floor, and 2 men from floor 8, Anton and his brash friend, Leo. After the meeting, I invited the group to my flat. As we planned, I scrutinized their faces, ensuring none were imposters. Eddie and Ellie stayed in the bedroom, safe from the disturbing conversation. Leo suggested bizarre tactics, herding the cultists into the lift during their frenzy hours or freezing them with fire extinguishers. Despite hours of discussion, no idea seemed feasible. Precious shared fond memories of Derek, the gardener. Shanti revealed more about the creatures. Prudence and others had lured them into an empty flat with pet food, then set it ablaze. But 3 larger, smarter creatures rose from the ashes, killing more people before Derek brokered the deal. Derek used eye contact and gestures, Shanti explained. He made it safe for everyone, but Prudence killing one made the others stronger as they absorbed it. The group's frustrations boiled over. Precious accused Terry of being a naive pushover manipulated by Prudence. I ended the bickering and asked everyone to leave. Terry hugged me as she departed, offering her support. Though disheartened by the lack of progress, I resolved to take matters into my own hands. An idea struck me. Gathering supplies from a 24-hour supermarket, I lugged heavy bags up and down the stairs, passing the motionless man on floor 5 twice. I couldn't shake the unease he inspired. Finally, I reached the building's small outdoor space, a graffiti-covered bench with an illegible memorial plaque. It wasn't much, but it would serve my plan. I wasn't giving up. Natalia and her group weren't going to win. This was far from over. Determined to summon Derek, I spent hours digging in the grass strip near the building. My exhaustion turned to disbelief when he appeared, sitting silently beside me on the bench. Derek was an older man with kind eyes and a flat cap, radiating calm. I've missed this place, he said, introducing himself. I explained everything: Jamie's death, Prudence's note, Natalia, and the cultists. Derek listened patiently, his warmth and presence a balm to my frayed nerves. When I finished, he stood. Follow me, he said. We stopped at the lift. Derek reassured me it was safe, but stepping inside was terrifying. He asked me to examine the control panel, and though it seemed normal at first, I realized something was missing. Floor 9. The building seals and reveals parts of itself, Derek explained. It's alive, in its own way. Derek recounted the tragedy that occurred years ago when Natalia's group burned an entire floor of residence. Afterward, the building locked floor 9, containing the fire and trapping the cultists. They reappeared weeks later, terrorizing residents. Derek, unable to predict them, turned to Prudence for help. Together, they discovered a way to trap the cultists on their burned floors. I led Prudence to floor 9, Derek said. The stairs allowed us access. When we encountered a cultist, I forced him into his claimed flat, where he became trapped. Prudence followed my lead, but she wanted to do more. She tried to burn the lift creatures on floor 9, but it only made them stronger. Derek's voice filled with regret as he admitted to being distracted by the loss of his garden. I should have stopped Prudence. I trusted her, but she acted impulsively. The arsonists remained, and I left, failing the residents. His sincerity moved me. I begged to help him confront Natalia. I want to lock her away for good, I said. Derek nodded. Tomorrow we'll end this. The building has suffered enough. I'll make it right. Derek refused to let me help confront Natalia, but I resolved to follow him. The next morning, I waited on floor 8, testing the stairs again. As expected, any higher skipped to floor 10. At 11 a.m., Derek appeared, displeased to see me, but resigned. Promised to stay back, he insisted. I nodded, though I had no intention of staying idle. We ascended the stairs, and for the first time, I saw the sign for floor 9. Entering was like stepping into another world. Charcoal remains, burned-out shells of homes, and the smell of ash. It was haunting. My thoughts were interrupted by Natalia charging down the hall, enraged. "How did you get here?" she screamed, her presence making the air hotter. Derek held my arm tightly. "Where do you live?" he asked Natalia. She hesitated, then gestured to a flat containing a broken man trapped within. Prudence's claim that the cultists could be killed had been a lie. They could only be contained. Derek urged me to remember Natalia's flat number as the heat intensified, singeing my hair. Finally, it came to me. 71! I screamed. Derek grabbed Natalia, dragging her toward flat 71 as she clawed at him. He didn't burn, but I did, my face blistering as I pushed her into the flat. She screamed and fought to escape, but the doorless boundary held her. The other cultists began to approach, and Derek gave me a look. I knew it was time to go. I fled to the stairwell, pausing briefly to take in floor 9, knowing it would soon seal off again. Derek joined me, silent but effective, and we descended to my flat. I invited him in for tea, but he declined, saying he had old friends to visit. As he walked away, Derek began to fade like a ghost. I ran after him, but he disappeared. Searching the garden, I saw Prudence, hacking at the shrubs I'd planted with manic intensity. Stunned, I watched until she collapsed onto the memorial bench, sobbing. Gathering my courage, I confronted her. "Prudence!" I called out. She shot up, her face twisted in rage. "You stupid girl! Do you have any idea what you've done?" she screamed. Her accusations stunned me. "You think I'm evil? You left me that cryptic note, got Jamie killed, and caged your granddaughter like an animal," I yelled back, tears streaming. Prudence broke down, shoving a crumpled note into my hand. The note was from Derek. It confirmed that Lila was gone. He had ended her suffering. "Prudence blamed me for everything. My whole family is gone because of you," she sniffed. Her words stung, but I wouldn't let her shift the blame. "You think Lila was better off in that cage? She was innocent, just like Jamie," I retorted. Prudence growled. "Did Derek take you to floor 9? He disfigured you." The pain in my face throbbed as she spoke, but I defended Derek. "He acted because of what you did." Prudence softened, recounting her grief. "Lila was my first chance to know a grandchild. Bernie adored her too. I thought I could keep her safe." Her tears fell, but I felt little sympathy. The selfishness of her actions had cost so many lives. I sat on the cold cement beside her, wrestling with conflicting emotions. Derek's disappearance, Prudence's grief, and my own loss swirled in my mind. The chaos of the building wasn't over, but at least the cultists were contained, for now. Prudence's rant about Lila revealed her twisted attachment to the creature Lila had become. She confessed to knowingly transforming her granddaughter, viewing it as a second chance after her strained relationships with her own children. "She needed me. That's all that mattered," she insisted. I couldn't hide my disgust. "But she wasn't living. How could you do that to her?" Prudence grew furious, her screams incoherent as we argued. The intensity rose until she picked up the garden shears, her unhinged glare locking on me. I realized too late what Eddie and Ellie had been waving about from the window, Prue charging at me. I ran for my life, pounding on doors as neighbors bolted them shut. The sound of her pursuit echoed behind me, but when I reached Terry's flat and bolted the door, Prudence had vanished. Shaking, I told Terry everything. She helped clean my burns and offered comfort, but my paranoia wouldn't let me rest. That night, I left her flat and returned home, resolved to handle things myself. Inside my flat, I immediately sensed something was wrong. Items were out of place, and the chaos was unfamiliar. Then, Prudence emerged from the kitchen, a carving knife in one hand and keys in the other. "You killed her!" she snarled, lunging at me. I fought back instinctively, breaking her nose with a headbutt. Blood streamed from her face, but she was relentless. When I tried to escape, she stabbed me in the side, the pain sharp and blinding. Desperate, I staggered to Mr. Prentice's door, his unsettling noises giving me an idea. I pounded on the door and shouted, "Mr. Prentice, help me!" Prudence hesitated, savoring my weakness as I bled heavily. The door creaked open, revealing a monstrous creature, a horrifying mix of bull and wolf that charged at Prudence, trampling her with a sickening crunch. Her screams were the last thing I heard before I lost consciousness. When I woke in the hospital, my parents were there alongside the police. They explained that a neighbor had found me outside the block, bleeding heavily. The police told a fabricated story, a mugging. According to their report, 2 men had attacked me and Jamie, splashing something in my face before bundling Jamie into a car. He was officially declared missing. I couldn't argue with their version. It was easier to let them believe it than to explain the nightmare that was the tower block. As I lay in the hospital bed, a mix of relief and sorrow washed over me. Prudence was gone, but so was Derek. The tower block's horrors remained, and Jamie's fate was still unknown. I was baffled, but relieved that Jamie's disappearance wouldn't be blamed on me. The police bought the mugging story, assuming my burns were chemical and my stab wounds were shallow, if such a thing as the right place to be stabbed exists. They promised updates on Jamie, though I knew they'd never find the car. My parents begged me not to return, calling the area unsafe. They even offered to collect my things, but I insisted on going back. Strangely, despite everything, the flat felt like home. Something about it drew me in. 2 days after my release, I returned, too weak for the stairs. I took the lift for the first time since Jamie died. My stomach was knotted as I noticed the missing button for floor 9. The memories of the creatures and Derek's tale resurfaced. As I reached my corridor, Mr. Prentice strolled by, a bag of milk and newspaper in hand. He smiled. "I wasn't sure you'd come back. It's nice to see you up and walking." His calm demeanor unsettled me, considering I'd seen him trample Prudence to death days earlier. I began doubting my own reality, but his next words confirmed everything. "I never liked that woman, but you've got a real friend in the lady downstairs," he said with a wink before disappearing into flat 48. I entered my flat and collapsed onto the sofa. With Prudence and the imposters gone, only the lift creatures remained, a threat confined to a specific time frame. Maybe life here could finally settle. Later, Terry knocked on my door, holding the handbag I'd left at her place before Prudence attacked me. Mr. Prentice was right. She truly was a good friend. She revealed she'd found me unconscious outside my flat, alongside Prudence's body. When I asked what happened to Prue's remains, her face darkened. "He was eating it," she whispered, nodding toward flat 48. The days that followed were quiet. I decided to stay, oddly attached to the building's quirks. Replanting the garden gave me a sense of normalcy, though it ripped a few stitches, and Derek didn't reappear. I suspected he was gone for good. Amidst the calm, grief for Jamie hit me hard. The weight of his absence grew unbearable. As I lay in bed one night, my mind spiraled, haunted by thoughts of Prudence. Despite everything, I couldn't forget her joy in having Lila back, twisted as it was. I know you all warned me not to, but I couldn't resist. Last night, I performed the ritual. Now, there's scratching in the flat. I haven't seen him yet, but I know Jamie's back.